You work hard, sacrifice sleep, and push through challenges to achieve your goals. And then, finally, you get what you wanted: the promotion, the car, the dream vacation. But something unexpected happens. The excitement fades faster than you imagined. That deep sense of fulfillment you longed for, it slips through your fingers like sand. This is the paradox of human desire. We crave, we acquire, we grow bored, and we crave again. As Schopenhauer warned, life is nothing more than a pendulum swinging between wanting and disappointment. Subscribe now and turn on notifications. This journey might just change the way you see everything. Think about the last time you bought something you really wanted. Maybe it was a new phone, a designer jacket, or even a house. In the beginning, you felt excitement, maybe even a rush of euphoria. But days or weeks later, that feeling faded. The object became just another part of your life. What once felt essential is now background noise. Schopenhauer believed this cycle is fundamental to human existence. We are wired to desire, but fulfillment is always temporary. Modern society exploits this flaw in our nature. Advertisements bombard us with promises of happiness. Through consumption, they convince us that the next purchase, the next experience, the next upgrade will finally bring lasting joy. But it never does. As Tyler Durden says in Fight Club, "We have jobs we hate to buy things we don't need." Schopenhauer would have nodded in agreement. The belief that external achievements or possessions can bring lasting satisfaction is an illusion, one that keeps us perpetually chasing. This is why even the most successful people often feel empty. Celebrities, millionaires, and influencers who appear to have everything frequently struggle with dissatisfaction. They have reached the peaks most people dream of, yet they still search for meaning. Why? Because success, wealth, and luxury don't free us from the human condition. They only amplify the truth that fulfillment can never be fully attained. Once we reach one goal, a new desire emerges, and the chase begins again. Schopenhauer believed that human suffering is not just an accident of life. It is life itself. We think we suffer because we lack something, but in reality, suffering comes from within, from our insatiable desires. Even when we achieve all we want, we still find ourselves longing for something new. This is why the pursuit of happiness, as most people understand it, is a futile endeavor. We are chasing shadows, hoping they will turn into something solid. So, what's the alternative? Do we simply accept misery? Not necessarily. The first step is awareness. Realizing that the fulfillment we seek through material things and achievements will never be permanent. This understanding can free us from the endless cycle of dissatisfaction. Instead of chasing fleeting pleasures, we can start looking for something deeper, something more meaningful. But what exactly is that? If this question intrigues you, subscribe now and turn on notifications. This journey might just change the way you see everything. Everywhere you look, someone is trying to sell you happiness. Billboards, social media ads, influencers, each one whispering the same promise: buy this and you will be fulfilled. It's a powerful illusion, one that keeps the modern world spinning. But beneath the surface, there's a darker truth. No matter how much we buy, how much we own, the feeling of incompleteness never goes away. As Schopenhauer reminds us, we are trapped in a cycle of desire and disappointment, forever chasing something just out of reach. The modern economy thrives on your dissatisfaction. Think about it. If people were truly happy with what they had, capitalism would collapse. Corporations depend on your endless hunger for more. New trends, seasonal sales, limited edition products, each one designed to make you feel like you need something new. And it works. How many times have you bought something not because you needed it, but because you were made to want it? This is what Fight Club calls being a byproduct of a lifestyle obsession. Schopenhauer understood this long before modern advertising existed. He argued that desire is the root of human suffering. We don't chase things because we need them. We chase because we think they will complete us. But the truth is, nothing external can fill the void. A bigger house won't bring peace. A luxury car won't make you whole. We reach for possessions like lifeboats, only to find they have holes in them. We stay afloat just long enough to see the next thing we must have. Even worse, this constant pursuit distracts us from what actually matters. While we are busy upgrading our wardrobes and buying the newest gadgets, we neglect our relationships, our inner growth, our sense of purpose. We sacrifice time, our most valuable resource, for objects that will soon lose their shine. We have jobs we hate to buy things we don't need, Fight Club reminds us. And when the high of a new purchase fades, we repeat the cycle, desperately seeking the next fix. So, how do we escape? The first step is seeing the trap for what it is. Understand that the world is designed to make you feel inadequate, because your dissatisfaction fuels the machine. Once you realize this, you gain power. You can step back and ask, do I truly need this? Or have I been conditioned to want it? Awareness is the key to breaking free. The less you let external forces dictate your desires, the more control you have over your own happiness. But there's more to freedom than just resisting consumerism. If material things can't bring lasting fulfillment, what can? Schopenhauer believed that true peace comes from within, from shifting our focus away from possessions and towards something deeper. The question is, if not through wealth and objects, how do we find meaning in a world built on desire? Schopenhauer didn't sugarcoat reality. He saw life for what it was, an endless struggle between wanting and disappointment. We suffer when we lack what we desire, and we suffer when we obtain it and realize it wasn't enough. This is the essence of human existence, an unbreakable loop of longing and dissatisfaction. Happiness, in this view, is not a natural state but a brief escape, a temporary relief from suffering before a new desire takes its place. Most people believe they suffer because of external circumstances. They think, if only I had more money, a better job, or the perfect relationship, I'd finally be happy. But Schopenhauer argues that suffering isn't caused by what we lack, it's built into our nature. Even when we get what we want, we quickly grow restless, searching for the next thing to pursue. This is why people who seem to have it all still feel unfulfilled. The problem isn't their situation. The problem is the human condition itself. This realization can be unsettling. We like to believe happiness is attainable if we just work hard enough, make the right choices, or find the right person. But Schopenhauer challenges this optimism. He compares life to a pendulum swinging between pain and boredom. When we lack something, we suffer. When we obtain it, we grow numb and start searching for something else. Either way, true contentment remains out of reach. The structure of life itself keeps us trapped. Look around, and you'll see this cycle everywhere. A child longs to grow up, believing adulthood will bring freedom, only to become an adult longing for the simplicity of childhood. A worker dreams of retirement, thinking they'll finally relax, only to retire and feel lost without purpose. A person chases romantic love, convinced it will complete them, only to discover new frustrations and expectations. In each case, happiness is always just one step ahead, like a mirage in the desert. So, what does this mean for us? If suffering is unavoidable, does that mean we should simply accept misery? Not exactly. Schopenhauer's insight isn't meant to lead to despair. It's meant to free us from illusions. When we understand the true nature of desire, we stop expecting fulfillment from things that will never provide it. We stop assuming that happiness is just one achievement away. And in that realization, a different kind of peace becomes possible. The next question then is this: if desire and suffering are inseparable, how can we live without being consumed by them? Schopenhauer believed that while we may never fully escape suffering, there are ways to lessen its grip. Some paths lead to deeper understanding, while others offer temporary relief. But one of the most powerful ways to transcend suffering is through something unexpected: beauty and art. If life is an endless cycle of longing and dissatisfaction, is happiness even possible? Schopenhauer believed that most people chase a version of happiness that is inherently flawed. They assume that once they reach a certain goal, wealth, success, love, or recognition, they will feel complete. But the truth is, the moment one desire is fulfilled, another takes its place. This is why people who achieve everything they ever wanted often feel emptier than before. They expected fulfillment, but all they found was another layer of longing. Modern society amplifies this illusion. We are constantly bombarded with images of the ideal life, luxurious vacations, perfect relationships, and effortless success. Social media turns this illusion into a daily spectacle, making it seem as though happiness is something others have already attained while we remain stuck. But Schopenhauer would remind us, no one truly arrives. Even the people who appear to be living the dream are caught in the same cycle of wanting, achieving, and then feeling unsatisfied. This is why he argued that happiness, as most people define it, is an illusion. True happiness, if it exists at all, is not found in the pursuit of pleasure or external achievements. Instead, it comes from something deeper, something independent of the endless chase for more. Schopenhauer suggested that a person who reduces their desires, rather than constantly seeking new ones, is more likely to find peace. The less we need, the less we suffer. Think about how most people define a good life. They chase money to buy things they don't need, hoping those things will make them happy. We have jobs we hate to buy things we don't need, as Fight Club so perfectly put it. But what if the key to happiness isn't in accumulating more, but in wanting less? What if contentment comes not from getting what we want, but from no longer being enslaved by our desires? This idea is not about denying all pleasure or ambition. Rather, it's about recognizing when the pursuit itself becomes a trap, when we attach our well-being to external things, status, possessions, validation from others. We give them power over us. True freedom comes when we stop expecting those things to complete us. Schopenhauer believed that the person who learns to be content with less is the one who has found real wisdom. So, if happiness isn't found in chasing desires, where can we find it? Schopenhauer believed that one of the most powerful ways to step outside the cycle of suffering was through art and aesthetics. Beauty has a unique ability to lift us beyond our everyday struggles and offer a glimpse of something deeper. Could it be that true happiness lies not in acquiring, but in experiencing? If the endless pursuit of desire leads to suffering, is there a way to escape, even temporarily? Schopenhauer believed there was, through art and aesthetics. Unlike material possessions, which lose their charm once acquired, beauty in art, music, and nature offers something deeper. It has the power to lift us beyond our personal struggles and momentarily free us from the relentless cycle of wanting. In these moments, we are no longer driven by desire. We simply exist in a state of pure appreciation. Schopenhauer saw art as a unique gateway to transcendence. A great painting, a moving piece of music, or a breathtaking landscape can take us out of ourselves. Instead of seeing the world through the lens of our desires, we see it as it truly is. Without ego, without need, for a brief moment, we escape the self-imposed prison of our own longings. This is why many people find solace in music or feel a deep sense of peace when watching a sunset. It is one of the few times when we are free from the constant push and pull of desire. He argued that music, in particular, had an almost supernatural ability to express the essence of existence. Unlike visual arts, which represent specific objects or scenes, music speaks directly to the soul. It does not describe life. It embodies it. That's why a powerful piece of music can move us in ways we can't explain. It bypasses the rational mind and connects with something deeper, something beyond words. In those moments, we are no longer thinking, planning, or desiring. We are simply feeling. But even though beauty can lift us above the struggles of everyday life, it is always temporary. We may be moved by a piece of music, but eventually, the song ends. We may find peace in a painting, but sooner or later, we must return to our daily concerns. This is why Schopenhauer didn't see art as a complete escape from suffering, only a momentary relief. However, these glimpses of transcendence remind us that there is more to life than the endless pursuit of external achievements. If art allows us to momentarily escape the suffering caused by desire, What would happen if we embraced a life of detachment? Could we step outside the cycle altogether? Schopenhauer believed that true wisdom comes from learning how to want less rather than acquire more. This is why some of the happiest people are not those who have everything, but those who are content with what they have. They understand that happiness is not in possession, but in perspective. So, how do we move beyond desire in a way that is lasting rather than temporary? This brings us to the next essential idea: breaking free from the cycle, a shift in mindset that changes everything. If desire and boredom are inescapable forces, is there a way to break free? Schopenhauer believed that while suffering is inherent to existence, we are not completely powerless. The first step is recognizing that external possessions will never bring lasting happiness. The second step is shifting our focus inward, toward mindfulness, gratitude, and detachment. Instead of constantly chasing what's next, we must learn to appreciate what is. This is not about rejecting ambition, but about freeing ourselves from the illusion that fulfillment lies in the next achievement. Mindfulness, or the ability to be fully present, is a powerful antidote to the restlessness caused by desire. Instead of living in the future, always waiting for the next promotion, the next purchase, the next vacation, we train ourselves to experience the richness of the present moment. A simple meal, a conversation with a loved one, a quiet walk. These can be sources of profound contentment if we are fully engaged. The problem is that we are often too distracted by thoughts of what we lack to appreciate what we already have. Gratitude also plays a crucial role in breaking the cycle. Instead of focusing on what's missing, we learn to recognize and appreciate what's already there. Studies in modern psychology confirm what Schopenhauer suggested long ago. People who regularly practice gratitude tend to be happier, less anxious, and more satisfied with life. This doesn't mean we should suppress our desires entirely. Rather, it means understanding that the pursuit of more is a game we can never win. Happiness comes not from the endless accumulation of things, but from the ability to enjoy what we already have. Detachment does not mean rejecting the world or refusing to engage with it. Instead, it is the understanding that true peace comes when we stop identifying our happiness with external circumstances. If we define our self-worth by wealth, status, or possessions, we will always be vulnerable to disappointment. But if we cultivate an inner sense of peace, one that does not depend on external factors, we become resilient in the face of life's inevitable ups and downs. Schopenhauer was not naive. He knew that completely escaping desire is almost impossible. However, he believed that wisdom lies in reducing unnecessary suffering. By embracing simplicity, focusing on experiences rather than possessions, and cultivating a mindset of contentment, we can free ourselves from much of the anxiety that plagues modern life. This is not an easy path, but it is one that leads to deeper fulfillment. So, what happens when we stop chasing and start appreciating? What shifts when we redefine our relationship with desire? This leads us to our final reflection: a new perspective on life. The profound transformation that occurs when we break free from the illusion of fulfillment. When we stop chasing illusions and start appreciating reality, life takes on a new depth. The endless cycle of desire and boredom loses its grip on us, not because we have eliminated all longing, but because we have changed our relationship with it. Instead of being trapped by the need to have more, we begin to focus on being more present, more aware, more content. Schopenhauer's philosophy does not promise a utopia, but it does offer a way to suffer less by seeing the world as it truly is. With this new perspective, we understand that possessions are not the key to happiness. The luxury car, the expensive clothes, the latest technology, none of these can provide lasting fulfillment. We have jobs we hate to buy things we don't need, and yet, we continue to believe that one more purchase will finally make us complete. When we step outside this illusion, we realize that joy is found in simplicity, in human connection, in creativity, in the beauty of nature. Life is still a series of ups and downs, but we are no longer at the mercy of every passing desire. We recognize that suffering is a natural part of existence, but it does not have to define us. Instead of being constantly pulled between longing and disappointment, we develop a sense of inner stability. This doesn't mean we stop striving for meaningful goals. It means we pursue them with awareness, knowing that no external achievement can replace the need for inner peace. This shift in perspective also changes how we see others. In a world obsessed with status and competition, we often view people as rivals or stepping stones. But when we step away from this mindset, we see that everyone is struggling in their own way, trapped in the same cycle of desire and dissatisfaction. Compassion grows naturally when we recognize that we are all fighting similar battles. Schopenhauer understood that life is not about eliminating suffering entirely. That is impossible. Instead, it is about reducing unnecessary suffering by freeing ourselves from illusions. When we stop expecting happiness to come from material success or external validation, we become lighter, more resilient, and more at peace. This does not make life perfect, but it does make it real. So, the choice is ours. Continue chasing what will never satisfy, or step back and find joy in what already exists. The first path leads to frustration, the second to liberation. The question is, are we ready to let go of the illusion? Subscribe now and turn on notifications.